old Publix bag boy aprons, tied around our necks and backs in looping double knots. Though I was older by a year, Milo stood half a head taller than me, taller than anyone in the 4th grade. We leaned close to our father's elbows, trying to catch the knife's movements, until he cleared his throat and we moved back again. He wore a black rubber apron that he'd rinse off in the back sink, slicking off the intestinal remnants of our daily autopsies with lemon-scented dish detergent. Our mother would wash ours and hang them in the front closet, next to our muddy sneakers and raincoats and the mothballed sweaters that we wore only once a year. Jessa-Lynn, hold the neck steady. I moved to the front of the table and dug my hands into the fur until the spine and tendons compressed beneath my fingers. I fought the urge to massage deeper, to let my hands crawl spider-like up the column and embrace the muzzle. Now come here, son. It's not gonna bite. From behind the deer's fuzzy cheek, I watched my brother take the knife from my father, a double-sided scalpel. On the table beside it sat the half-moon of the fleshing blade he'd used to strip the wet hunks of flesh from the skin. Its curve caught the light, blinking silver under the fluorescent bulbs that lined the paneled ceiling. Like this? Milo clutched the knife like he would a sharpened stick, something to gouge and mutilate. He fidgeted and nearly dropped his grip as he dug down into the deer hide. Let me show you. Flex your wrist. Press steady, slow. Not too deep. Prep meant our father would completely skin the buck and assess the skeleton, see where the shot penetrated, and reconstruct the animal's body, fortifying it with thick patches of wool and cotton padding and strong wiring to hold the pose. Most shops worked only off prefab mannequins and forms, but my father liked creating his own, even if it meant every piece took 2 weeks longer than it would at a competitor's shop. Customers looking for specialty work were willing to pay for the extra labor, but most weren't after the art my father wanted to make of their kills. It didn't matter to Dad. He'd put in the time regardless, even if it meant losing business. He's got a gristly patch here. Push harder. According to our father, customers wanted something commanding in the animal's pose. Most were hunters, and if they chose to have their kill mounted, they wanted it larger than life, as if the animal might reanimate and attack. They wanted bigger, stronger, more muscled. Our job was to grant that wish, even if the person had shot the animal from behind as it nosed through a garbage can. Milo sweat through the neck of his shirt. It was cool in the back of our shop, low 60s to keep the inevitable rot at bay. But my brother looked like he'd just run in from the playground. I'm not sure. Like this? He pulled up the knife. Jagged. Moved too quickly. There was a purring tear. Sorry. Grunting, my father took my brother's hand and guided it back down to the work. That'll have to be repaired. You'll have to stitch it up after we tan so the lines won't show through crooked. Sorries wouldn't fix the coat. There would always be a scar. Something out of place to mimic the fat bullet hole behind its tufted ear. Ripped pelts weren't ideal, but there were ways to cover them. Mud flecked up on an ankle, or the fur combed over in a way that suggested muscle mass beneath the skin. I ran my thumbs down the buck's neck to the softest place at the heart of its throat. Its white hair had grown in a clumped oval, framed by the thicker, slick stuff that coated its back. The dense coat that grew in for winter, even in Florida. Usually, my father would brace the deer's antlers in one of the clipped tracks that hung from the ceiling. We'd never been so involved in the process before. Certainly never been allowed to use his tools or cut into any of the customers' prized pelts. There. Push hard, just below the fetlock. You gotta scoop along like you're pulling open canvas. Let the knife become an extension of your arm. Our father's cuts were seamless. He'd been doing the work for almost 30 years, alongside his own father, who'd died the year Milo was born. In pictures, our grandfather looked like a harder, grayer version of